What's up? So, who's this for? Well, if you've bought an online course, an online program, a summit, a virtual summit, an in-person summit, a workshop, a mini workshop, a mini program, full program, a 6-week program, an 8-week program, certification, a college degree, a book, et cetera, you were struggling to execute, use, and benefit from those things that you've spent potentially tens of thousands of dollars on. I want to, as I titled today, which I just come up with some random title, start these out, revealing the scams of online courses, why so many are broke because of them. And so this is going to be a great one today. If you watch my live from yesterday, you see that I'm done with trying to attempt to say things in a certain way. I'm supposed to be on here and I'm supposed to have this blueprint. You're supposed to have this blueprint. This is how you start. This is the exact intro. This is the exact hook. This is how I catch you in. This is how I get you to watch more than 5 seconds before leaving. You know, you're on here right now. You're like, does this guy have any value to bring me? Is this going to help me? Is he going to waste my time? Does he have anything worth saying? Well, I don't know. You be the judge. Stick around and you'll find out. If this is your first time, welcome. This is going to be exciting. Leave comments, leave interaction. I love doing these live because really I want the things to be sparked by all of you. And a lot of what's being sparked now is from my private clients and bringing this stuff in public. I have hours upon hours upon hours that I do in private every day. But yet I have so much to say that I want to make sure that I can help shift the mind of those who are struggling to make money, to have good health, to have good relationships. And I find that there's so much great stuff out there. There really is. There's a lot of phenomenal information that's free, that's cheap, that's inexpensive, that's expensive. Expensive is relative, right? For some people, spending $100 today is expensive. For some people, spending $100,000 is expensive. For some people, spending $100,000 is cheap. It really all just depends. And so I have been around the online marketing, online course creation, thought leadership, courses, trainings, membership sites, online programs, landing pages, squeeze pages, this page, that page, up sells, down sells, left sells, right sells, really since probably about 2010, 2011. And then my video production background led me to filming for all these wonderful people in this space who essentially sell courses and sell programs and mentorships and coaching and everything that's meant to help you have a better life and make more money. And I got to say that what I'm going to say on this isn't all negative. It's not all mean and hateful and oh my God, it's just all scams. It's all horrible. Selling a course is a horrible thing to do. Making a book is just going to ruin people's lives. Like, that's a lie. I'm sure some of you have read a book or watched a course or watched a video that really helped you immensely. I'm sure some of you went to college and you have great memories and great experiences from it. And what I found is not all things are all bad and not all things are all good. And really, there's people in the same time experiencing something, and some people are having incredible experiences from that thing, while simultaneously at the exact same time, there are people at the exact same time going through the exact same information who feel like they are being screwed over. So what is it that two people can be in the same exact thing happening and one loves it and one hates it? What's happening there? And I've gone from having a very negative, and I can be very charged in the things that I say because of the experiences that I've had and the people that I've worked with and the money that has been spent that has, quite frankly, completely transformed people's lives from joining a $25,000 mastermind. Whilst others, it's quite frankly caused divorce and caused absolute massive turmoil in the relationships of those they love because they continue to pursue something that the people around them see as a lost cause, as a waste. And then the people, and you hear this line all the time, which is, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for my family. And I heard somebody somewhere at some point in time say, but did you ever ask the family what they really wanted? Did they really need you to make $1 million or $500,000? Or did they just need you to be present? Did they just need you to be home? Did they just want to see you more than they do? Maybe not all day, every day. I don't know. There's not too many people. I mean, my wife is about one person I can see pretty much every single day. But outside of that, there really aren't too many people that I can see all day, every day. And even my wife and I'm not with my wife right this second. She's upstairs doing her thing. But usually during the day, like, we're in the same place. We can see each other. We'll run some errands, but I'm still not literally just like present with her 24 hours a day, sitting by her side. I still need my alone time. I need my together with other people time. Like, I've got these different things. What's up, Bill? How you doing, my brother? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. And so when it comes to this space, I became very jaded. I was very naive in the beginning. You know, when I built my video production company, I was also very naive and didn't know what I was doing. But I built it from a place of really, I think in the big picture, taking a lot less input because there was a lot less input to take. There was a few things and a few resources, but today I see why people are like really overwhelmed and paralyzed in the sense of like, they don't know what to do. They don't know what action to take. They're literally stuck. You know, and let me know in the comments if you have a story, if you have a question. Do not ever hesitate. If you watch this one or anyone in the future, do not hesitate to leave a comment, to interact, to ask a question, to send me a private message, to queue up and spark a conversation in the future, because I want to make sure that what my clients call the Michael Magic is brought to more than just an individual. And they keep telling me too. And so I'm here to just share the stories. I'm not here to tell you what to do, the right way to do it, that this is the way to do it. And that is what I found, that over and over and over again, there are so many things that, you know, courses aren't bad, ads aren't bad, organic's not bad, marketing's not bad, you know, certifications, college aren't bad. There are people whose lives, like there are people doing brain surgery on people right now who are saving people's lives because they attended college. Like, so again, any given thing can be used for good or can be used for bad. You can have a superpower and you can be a villain or you can be the hero. It really is up to you. And what I have found is even in experiences I, by and large, don't have much good to say, I can find the good in it. That doesn't mean that I would endorse that person and I would encourage everybody else to go check it out. But finding what can I take away from this, even if it's just what not to do, helps me feel a lot better and sleep a lot better at night. But it really has boiled something up to continue to recognize that there's so much out there that is, this is the way, this is the right way, this is the way you've got to do it. And yet I want to continue to encourage people to recognize that if you really, and I obsess, I have OCD with certain things. And when I find somebody that I air quote look up to, I want to learn from, I want to understand, I consume a lot, like a lot from these people. And I dig. I try to find the blind spots. I try to poke holes. I try to figure things out and figure out what is it that they're doing. And then I look at across everybody, the thousands and thousands of hours that I have consumed over the last decade, the courses that I've attended, the seeing the front stage, seeing the backstage, getting a testimonial, getting somebody and literally seeing why they're drunk at the bar and then saying a completely different thing than they just said on stage, of which is different from what they said in the testimonial, which was different from what they said when they were drunk. And seeing all this over the years, all these different things, people attending event after event, getting on camera and giving testimonials, but really talking to them and having the fact that they're really, their life financially and relationally, it isn't changing much. They're just kind of getting these little boosts in the moment and feeling good about the thing while they're there. And then there's this almost like, I'll look better, I'll feel better, maybe I'll get promotion and eyeballs if I leave this glowing review for this person that, quite frankly, I'm kind of neutral about. And in seeing that, I just can't help but continue to calibrate people's expectations. Because what happens with these programs is that a lot of people who do have really great programs, they sell with a lot of certainty and a lot of conviction. But they sell with guarantees and promises because they got one person to do something. It's an automatic assumption that anybody can do it. And on one hand, they're not wrong. On one hand, I mean, there's people who do really horrible things in this world who think they're doing it for good. So there are people who truly believe with every bone in their body that the thing that they're selling you can and will help you. And then on the flip side of that, that if it doesn't, it's your fault. And I'm really tired of the blame because is it their fault or your fault? Quite frankly, I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just think it's pure ignorance at times. I think that there are people who are not ignorant and who absolutely know what they're doing and absolutely know that they're full of BS. But I honestly think there are far less of those people than we might at times believe. I think there's a lot of really well-intentioned people, and I know because I've been one of them. I've done things because I thought it was the right thing to do at the time, and then when I pulled out, when I zoomed out, and years and time have passed, and I've learned and gathered new information, I recognize and I go, "Yeah, maybe that wasn't the best thing that I could have said or done at that time." But at the time I said and did the thing that I did, I really thought I was doing the best thing that I could do. But I can't beat myself up. You can't beat yourself up for the fact that you made decisions that once you gathered new information, you realize you probably would have made a different decision. There's a guy named Peter Crone, and he says, what happened couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't. And so you can beat yourself up every day because you've spent $50,000 in programs and courses and coaching and training and certifications and all these things. And you feel like you're no further ahead, but you're deeper in debt than you were when you started. And I know I've had a lot of really poor experiences, but I've also had some really transformational ones. Just the same as when our little dog, Bauer, passed away. I'm hopefully not going to get emotional here. A few years ago, and I asked my wife if she wanted another one. And her initial reaction was no. And me knowing how much joy it brought her, it brought me, and it brought us. Him, Bauer, not it, but brought us. I couldn't help but kick into what Michael Gevin does best. That's encourage. That's inspire. That's remember. Help be a reminder. And that's to the fact that the last 6 months, which were the most present in our life, that was back in, gosh, its time has flown. It's already been a few years now. It's been, I think, 2.5 years. But the 6.5 months, 2.5 years ago, prior to him passing, were horrible in a lot of ways. They were really, really, really tough. So that's what we were feeling at that moment when it was like, no, we're not doing it again. And I told her, but we had 13.5 incredible years that were so filled with so much joy and so much happiness and so much fun. So we're really going to let the pain from these 6 months, which is 1% of the 100%, the 99%, that was amazing, prevent us from experiencing more 99%, more amazingness. There'll be ups and downs, there'll be struggles, but there was far more good than there was bad. And I believe in this world that when it comes to courses and programs and all these things, there's far more good than there is bad. And I think that the biggest thing is a shift in perspective. I think that there's just something missing from a lot of the programs. And will I be egotistical or arrogant or cocky about what I have to say in regards to that there's me and there's some coming out there who are sharing to me, sorry about that, the missing component. I don't have the answers, but I think some perspective shifts that can help people, take advantage of the things that they've purchased and get a lot of value out of them, things that are actually really good and can be really helpful, or continue to invest in themselves and pursue their goals, dreams, and aspirations rather than become numb, rather than become tired, rather than become, for me, just when it's come to professional business and me doing what I'm doing right now, I had become very numb because all the rules and regulations that I really put on myself, but felt that I was supposed to as a byproduct of people that I deemed to be smarter, wiser, and more successful than me, and that they supposedly know better than me. They know things for sure. And there's something they're doing that's working, and that's why they potentially do have money, or they do have followers, or they do have fame, or they do have interactions or likes or comments. They might have all those things because there's some stuff they're doing that maybe you're not doing. But over and over and over again, you will see over and over and over again that there are lots of ways to do it. And that forcing yourself to do something only because someone else says that you need to do it and you're not having an ounce of fun doing it will either have you do one of two things: not do anything, which in and of itself, to me, almost hurts more than anything. I'll take the repercussions of messing up, saying the wrong thing, put myself out there and trying every day than sitting around thinking about doing it every day. Because everything has a consequence. And I gave an analogy this morning. There's this idea that at times, especially as I start to help people see that maybe they could get a little help, that might not be a bad thing, or it might be, but they need to try it out. They need to test, not guess. Delegate a little bit. Have some people do some things that they don't want to do or they don't like to do. And there's affordable ways to do it. But then some people find that either they still can't afford that or they hate doing it. But I find that we've created paths as if I was in California or Florida. Let's start in Florida. I'm in Florida and I want to get to California. But people have maybe believed that the best way to get to California is to fly in a plane, first class, $2,000 ticket. It might take me 2 years to save up the money or to get the money or to be making the money to get to California on a private, first class ticket for $2,000. Right? But I think we could all believe and know the truth that there's other ways you could get there. And if the only way you think there is to get there is first class or a private jet, it's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars, and you potentially don't ever get to California because you only think there's this one way, and that way is not working. For one reason or another, you can't figure out how to make the money, get the money, find the money, do the thing, whatever, when you could walk. It would take you a while. But you could go 25 years and never get to California because you think there's only one way to do it, and it's the best way, and any other way is insufficient and is wrong and bad. You can walk, you can hitchhike, you can motorbike, you can take a bus, you can take trains, planes. There's all sorts of, we'll delete the plane one, right? But there's lots of ways that you could get there. And it might take longer, but you also get there. And then the big question for a lot of people is, where are you trying to get? Our brain creates a bias. I have one client, I just brought this up today, and we were having the conversation because it's like there's been this thought pattern, this language pattern that goes, it's going to take a long time. I know it's going to take a long time. And although that's helpful, it prevents disappointment. Rather than you think you're going to make 10K in 10 days and you've been sold that bill of goods 47 times and you're like, I don't know how I keep getting caught up in this. I haven't made any money, right? But then if you believe, oh, it's just going to take a while, I just got to stick with it. So now you have this belief that it's just going to take forever. It's going to take a long time. That's what you tell yourself every day. But all you have is today, and you keep telling yourself it's way off there in the distant future and it's going to take a long time. And somebody that I received coaching from who is incredible reminded me that you can think those things to help mitigate the pain you'll feel in the present because you're disappointed that you're not where you'd like to be fast enough, that you could say, I don't know how long it's going to take. It might take a long time, and or I'm open to the fact that it could happen in a day. It could happen in an instant. It could happen in a moment. I don't know how long something's truly going to take, but I'm not going to only speak in a form of like, it's going to take 5 years, because I have seen people do things that they think is going to take a decade and do it in a year, and do it in 6 months, do it in 2 years. We just don't know. But if we know we can, but we don't expect that it's guaranteed to happen in an exact certain formulaic way, because there's too many variables that none of these course creators, none of these people can account for when it comes to having success in business, when it comes to losing weight. I know people who are doing all the right things to lose weight, and there's literally a medical condition that is preventing them from losing weight and having them gain weight. And no matter what exercise or diet or thing they're doing, there's that underlying medical thing that's preventing the thing from happening, that's happening for the people around them, even though they're doing all the right things. And so there's so many variables. And the more I learn about my ADHD and what's going on with my brain, it's like, it's not a limitation. It's not an excuse, but nonetheless, there is stuff going on that's different that causes my brain to operate differently than some. And there's a lot of pros to that. There's a lot of benefits to that. And for you as well, whether you're dyslexic, you've got autism, you've got ADHD, something else is going on, whatever it is, there are people all over the place. There's YouTube channels with people who have autism. There's YouTube channels with people who have ADHD. There's Instagram accounts, and these accounts have hundreds of thousands of people following their message, following their way. They've been able to figure it out. They've been able to make some kind of living. They've been able to create. They've been able to share. So just because you come from air quote nothing, or you come with these, what you deem to be these broken pieces and something wrong with you, it's only wrong because you're believing it is wrong. It doesn't mean it's not an inconvenience. It doesn't mean it's not a challenge. It doesn't mean it doesn't come with its difficulties. I'm not saying that. But the more I look, the more I see that there's somebody in an identical scenario to somebody else, in the sense of like somebody's in a wheelchair, right? There's people in a wheelchair like, I'm screwed. I'm done. My life is over. Can't do anything now. And then there's people winning the wheelchair Olympics. There's a guy who had basically no ability to do anything but sit in a wheelchair in a thing, and the only thing he can move was his head like this. And he was able, over like a 6 or 8 year period of time, to build a business that in the time that he was doing it, he couldn't accept any money, because if he accepted money, he couldn't pay his medical bills from the Medicare or whatever he was on. And if he made over a certain amount of money, he would lose the insurance. But because he couldn't make enough, he wouldn't be able to pay the bills. So he basically would die. And so he did all these things for trade, did great things for people, all these things that would cost money, built a net reputation, built a brand, built all these things, hardly making any money, making enough money to survive, And after, I think it was 5 to 8 years, he like cashed in all these relationships, had enough equity in this thing, and built up something where he made like $10 million. But he basically made hardly nothing for, 5 to 8 years. He just did things for free, got the Medicaid in, did the thing, and accepted everything in trade form and in relationship and brand equity and all this kind of stuff. And then was able to cash in on all this, had this kind of following, was able to sell something that makes so much money that now he has a business and has a team and has his stuff built up that is allowing him to not be on the insurance. And he can pay for everything now. But he had to go a different path and a different way than what would be the normal thing being taught and being shared. And so that's what I want to encourage for you. The scams of the online courses. I mean, the truth of the matter is, as you've seen, I'm not like going step by step and saying, here's a scam, here's a this. It's like, be careful of people who are promising you the stars, the moon, and the universe in very short periods of time through a step by step. Because depending on what it is, I just don't see a lot of people, first of all, even being able to follow the step-by-steps. But even if they do, there's too many nuances of where you may be and what is going on in your life and what you've already learned, what you've already accomplished, what you're trying to do. There's just too many variables for somebody to guarantee. Like, there's one guy that I know, $27,000, and he talks about taking money out of your retirement, but he pretty much guarantees that in 12 months, it's worth 10 times. So it's worth $270,000. And the reason he believes that, and there's some truth to it, is because there's people who've been able to have that happen. And I believe in people, and I believe in the people's ability to do. Leonardo, what's up, my friend? Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. I love the interaction. But be sure, again, leave me comments, leave me messages. I want these to be sparked by you. I want these to not just be me talking to everybody, but to somebody. And so a lot of this is sparked from a lot of private conversations that I have, and I want to continue to bring this. This is just effortless and easy and fun for me. It's an energy that I can bring to the people who come live, and then, insight to people who catch the replay. This isn't about more information. I think so many of you do not need more information. You need the implementation. You need the ability to understand how to embody the information you already have, right? You need to be able to know, how do you execute, how do you implement, how do you integrate the things that you learn into your life, rather than continue to get kind of the intellectual understanding. Most of you have the understanding. You know how to have a great relationship. You know how to have, great health and lose weight and make money. I mean, the information's there for free, cheap, and expensive everywhere. And most of you have consumed plenty to know how to do it. But what I found in my own life is that there's an overwhelm. Like when I started my production company, there was just not that many choices. And when you don't have that many choices, it's easier to make a decision. But when you have like 50, 100, 300 different ways to go, it just makes people go, I don't know what to do. Because every move you make, you feel is going to be wrong. Or you already like, I've already done that. Or I already heard somebody talk about that and they said it didn't work. Right? But there's somebody who talks about it and says it works. So what are you going to focus on? And so for me, I find that the ability to, well, for one, may or may not help the viewership of this, but the truth of the matter is like I've been deleting. Facebook is not on my phone right now. Instagram is not on my phone. The only one I probably got to be deleting here. Let's actually go ahead and just do it. Let's do it for everybody. I'll go ahead right now because I say it like to, not that it matters because you can't see if I put it on right afterwards, right? But here we are. I've got good old YouTube right there. We're just going to go ahead and remove that too. Because as I've been talking about the creative constipation recently. Thank you, Serena. Hello. Thank you for listening. I don't need more information. I just need to surround myself with messages and with people and conversations that really are going to encourage me to act, to do, to move, right? That feels so good. It feels so good to do this right now. Because I'm not coming in here with like spending 45 minutes thinking about what I should title this thing and then I'll change the title afterwards. If what I ended up talking about, there's some software right now. I can plug it in and it spits out a bunch of things and things I talked about on this message. I can get a better title. I just make up something because I wouldn't do this because I'm thinking, oh, I got to think exactly how I structure this a certain way and say certain things and get the certain title and get people to listen. And I just don't want to do it. It's not fun. It's not fun. And there's so much of what I have learned that has sucked the living life and fun out of so much. Not everything needs to be monetized. I love riding my bike. I don't even figure out how I can make money doing it. Like I have felt that I have become a person that every decision that I'm going to make and everything I'm going to do, I have to figure out, is it worth my time? Because it is going to get likes, views, subscribers, and make money. There's something I'm going to be doing with my brother and my dad and a good friend of his. It's this comedy thing. We want to make a little podcast. We're inspired by some of these like comedy podcasts that are just off the wall, and we're off the wall. And we've got these great stories. And we're sitting around breakfast on Sunday morning, and we're just like, yeah, see, just sit right here. And we're thinking, okay, we could set it up here. But my brain quickly goes to, well, yeah, but we got to do this and this and this. It's got to be this way and that way, and do this thing and that thing, and all these things. And what are we going to do? And we make money. And it's like all of a sudden, it's like I don't even want to do it. Because I'm like, well, if it's not gonna make money, I don't want to spend my time because I'll obsess over it and then I'll spend too much time. It's like, it's such BS. When I stop and I think about it, it's like, what do I remember from my life that I love? Is it the likes, the comments, the views, the subscribers, the shares, the little text messages on things? Or is it interaction with human beings in some way, shape, or form? The laugh, the cries, the tears, the hugs, the high fives. That's what I remember. It's never been how many views I got on a video, how many likes and shares and followers and subscribers I got. Those are like bleeps in the radar. But the real visceral things that I feel are the experiences. So even if we record once or 14 times and nobody watches it, will it be worth it? Abso-freaking-lutely. Because I will be able to have the memories from that interaction versus the thought about what the memories might be. I don't get any memories if I don't do it. So what are you thinking about doing? What are you overthinking? You know, I went from the MIA guy, which is inspired in perfect action, to freaking the MOA guy, the massively overthinking my actions. And I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of consequences for me just manically coming out and taking imperfect inspired action. Some of those have been negative. But you know what? Again, I would rather deal with the negative from taking a manic inspired and perfect action, because there's so much positive that's come of that, than I would to deal with how I feel when I take no action at all. And all I do is think and think and think and think some more. You know how much thinking I've done in the last, I could freaking fill the ocean with the amount of thinking that I've done in the last just 18 months. And it's wonderful. I mean, there's a lot of good that's come from that thinking, but God dang, I'll tell you what, I have thought myself to like exhaustion. I just like, I got to speak. Like, that's why I just deleted the YouTube. It's like, I look and it's like, I've been spending 2 hours a day on YouTube. It used to be I'd spend about 2 or 3 hours a day combined on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook combined. And then when I got rid of Facebook and Instagram, I just plugged over all that over to YouTube. And I'm like, I get some value for sure off of consuming things. And I want to continue to consume and learn. I have learned so many amazing things that are very insightful. But you know what? I'd rather do at times. I'd rather take that 2 hours and take it down to a half hour and spend an hour on here doing what I'm doing right now. It feels a lot better to release, right? To create than it does just to consume. It's like if you sat and you went to a buffet and you just kept eating until you were vomiting, right? Most people wouldn't do that regularly, or maybe never, right? You get full at some point in time. But god dang, when it comes to information, like these lives are meant to inspire you to action. If you want to listen every day, all day, as many times as I do it, then have at it. That's fine. I'm not going to like stop you from doing it. But the goal is that if you have somebody you want to call, if you have something you want to do, if you have something you want to write, if you have something you want to say, if you have a video you want to create it, do it, share it. I've worried so much about what are people going to think? What are they going to say? It's wrong. It's right. It's this. It's that. You should. You shouldn't. You da 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 da. Ah! Right? Any of you feel that way? Like, my God. And that's what I want to keep saying. I want to express the feelings a lot. Can't express because they express it to me in private. I express a lot in private. But the reason is that so many are confused because there's less expressing it in public. You might think you're too thin, you're too big, you're too white, you're too black, you're too this, you're too that. You live here, you don't have enough of this, you don't have enough of that. Who will care? Who will this? That's because the people like you feel like you and they're scared too. So you don't see people like you because they're all scared. But the people I see pop up who are 56 years old who think I'm too old, yada, 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 it's like, and they start doing it. And there's all these people go, oh my God, finally somebody who I can relate to, somebody who I can get. I can stop listening to the 37-year-old. Now I can listen to a 56-year-old, somebody who gets me, who's lived life like me, right? I love seeing my clients who are of all different, everything, believing that they're not enough, believing that they're to whatever, that nobody looks like them or sounds like them. Now believing that is the exact reason that they want to share their message and share their voice. And I'm not telling you, you don't need to be a coach. You don't need to be a speaker. You don't need to be, you can write novels and never be seen on planet Earth ever. And just submit the things to get your novels published, right? Everybody, I think that there's so much and we get in these little worlds and then we think there's not all these other things that create. I was watching something the other day of some guy who's got a video. They do this like docu-series on all these different people making all these different money, doing all these different things. This guy's like making like $4,000 a day with a cleaning service. He doesn't no online business or anything fancy. He's just, he is, him and his wife basically run the business. She does all the scheduling. He does the marketing. And then he runs out to the different houses at different places. And essentially, they hire different cleaners. And then you see businesses of people doing all sorts of different money and making their living and they don't get any help. And they just this one guy recently I see, he just loves design. He just wants to design. He's like, everybody talks about scale, hire. He's like, they don't really talk much about the negatives. Like every business model has its negatives. Every business model on certain levels is going to let somebody down, not make everybody happy. And so we tend to focus on these certain things and act like, oh, courses are bad. Well, so are pencils. There are people who do bad things with pencils and knives and shoes and cloths and all sorts of things, right? But we don't go, I can't use a fork. Forks are bad. I mean, there's somebody out there who probably thinks forks are bad. I'm sure there's a certain type of religion or something that's out there that says you can't use forks, only use your hands, right? We might not be aware of them, but they probably exist. So how do we get back to the fun? If you want to create a course because you have something to share and you believe that somebody could really learn from it, that doesn't mean don't create it. Because there's people who take advantage of people who sell courses. That doesn't make courses bad. It doesn't make doing a podcast bad because there's a lot of podcasts out there and there's podcasts that don't help people. There's also podcasts that help people. And you might just have a message or you might just have a thing that you want to create or bring into this world that maybe only a few need it. Maybe a lot need it. I think the other thing is thinking that we're all guaranteed to succeed. You know, I'm very optimistic and I'm very positive. But I think that the entitled thought process of we all will succeed on varying levels to, make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. First of all, I think that the reality is most never will make that. And also the reality is most don't need it. Like it's completely unnecessary for most people. The amount of people I've seen who are trying because there's more people telling them they need to make $50,000, $100,000 a month, or they're broke, poor people if they don't make $5 million a year, and all these kind of things and these messages that just people don't know who to learn from and who can help and who cares and who doesn't care. And it's just like, but so many people would truly be really happy, I believe, if they were making like $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month. But they can't even get to $1,000 a month because they're too obsessed and overthinking the process of how do they build this fancy business with hiring all these people and all these moving parts and all these different things and do this and 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 this so they can make $100,000 a month. They can't figure out how to make 1,000. I've been there. Right? Like not doing this because of all that I know and like, oh, you're going to do this too often. Oh, you're going to say too much. Oh, who's going to want to pay you money if you get on here and you're sharing everything you share? They're going to think, oh, I've heard everything I need to hear. These are all things that come into my mind. And I come back to, it's like, well, would I do something like this if I wasn't needing to make any money? And in a lot of ways, the reality is yes. But when I get into my head and I get into all these other people who say this and that, and then you realize, well, yeah, but some people hate doing this. They truly hate doing what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. They would much rather spend 3 hours scripting a video and having this perfect kind of structure to it. And that actually makes them feel really good. And it might deliver really concrete, really great to the point content. And there'll be people who come to me and go, this guy is flipping all over the place. I come to his thing. I don't know what the hell he's going to say. I don't know where he's going with this. I don't know what point he's trying to make. I don't know who he's trying to help. I don't know what he's doing. He's so confusing. He is just all over the place. He goes on and on and on. He's ranting and rambling, and it's just a mess. I guarantee that. I could be a multi-millionaire, and if I acted the way I act, there'd be people who think that. But here's the thing. You go too fast, there's going to be people who tell you go too fast, you need to slow down. You go too slow, there's going to be people who tell you need to speed up. You're going too slow. Right? You go medium speed, they're like, maybe you need to speed up a little bit, or maybe you need to slow down a little bit, right? If you're too big, they're going to tell you, maybe you need to lose a little weight. You lose too much. I think you've lost a little bit too much weight. You probably need to gain a little bit. You're looking a little skinny there, right? Oh, why'd you cut your hair like that? I like the hair the way it was. Somebody else says, oh, I love your hair. It's amazing, right? Oh, why'd you fix your teeth? I like that little snaggle tooth you had. Why are you putting out a podcast? There's too many podcasts out there. Oh, I'm so glad you brought out your podcast. It's great. Absolutely changes my life. The amount of that's going on in this world, it's no wonder that most people are just freaking depressed, sad, stuck, confused, lost. And yeah, that's the consensus. It's because you feel like you're doomed no matter what. And so what I realize is what makes me come alive. Me just doing what I want. I'm not going to try to be as ethical and honest as in the world as I can overall. But at the same time, things that aren't harming people, I'm not harming anybody right now. I mean, there might be somebody. That's not my intention. But neither are the people who think they're doing good. They seem to be harming a lot of people. So who are we to judge? And I feel that the less I judge, the more I'm willing to do. Because I know that someone will judge me. No matter how I do it, I will be judged. Too long, too short, too wordy, too this, too that, too much energy, too close to the camera, too loud, too soft, too blurry. Like, just show up. Just keep going. Because for me, I'd be doing this and speaking with the same passion, the same intensity, more or less, whether there's a few people on or there's a few thousand. But I just can't jump necessarily immediately to a few thousand if I never show up to begin with. And I've studied so many people who very few, and these are the ones we tend to see, which then makes us sad if we've done 50 things and it hasn't, air quote, worked out. There's so many people who've done hundreds of things over years and not had much happen. And the reality is, it might not have been worth watching. It might not have been worth reading. It might not have been worth listening to. But it was in the doing that hopefully you liked doing it. You liked growing. You liked evolving. You liked learning. And then the reason it takes off is not just luck and chance. It's because you're damn good at it. Because you just kept doing it, and you just kept learning, and you just kept practicing, and you just kept growing. So what can you take from all the courses and all the programs and all the things that you've done and that you've Learned or not learned anything? What can you use? What can you know that you don't want to do and how you don't want to be and how you don't want to show up? Because the likelihood is there's somebody that agrees and would resonate with you that way. I guarantee there are people that view this and go, glory be. Finally, somebody speaking up. I'm not going to speak up on like climate change and other world affairs. I have a specific world of people who are really like creatives, videographers, coaches. I mean, really, coaches and videographers seem to be the biggest sector of people because that's really been my background, video production company background, and then coaching. And then there's a sprinkling of other people. But it's really those creatives, those creators, those people who have something. I say, tune up hearts and minds so dreams don't die in their hearts, heads, and hard drives. Like, right? They've got something inside of them creatively that they're not getting out there because they're afraid of failing. They think they've already failed. They think that nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to love them. It's never going to work. It's like, but is it the working of it that matters most or the doing of it? The creating it, the sharing it? What matters most? I find that a lot of people who do the thing the longest, it's because it's the act of doing it that they love the most. There's so many people that you see, and then we go, why are they still doing it? Because they don't need any money. Well, they keep doing it, not because they got the money typically when they were willing to do it for years, living on their friend's couch, living in a car, not having much of it, being rejected over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, not having anybody care, not having anybody listen. The Ed Sheerans of the world playing in a thing where there was 5 people and none of them were listening and none of them cared. And now can go back to the same place and snap their fingers and 5,000 people are showing up and they're all praising. In a lot of ways, at times, it sound the same and look the same. But just the series of continuing to do, continuing to play, continuing to sing, continuing to write, continuing to speak, continuing to create, continuing to do. Sometimes it'll hit for you and you make a ton of money doing it. You get a ton of accolades. Maybe you won't. But I find that you've got that song to sing. You'll feel a lot better if you sing it. You'll feel a lot better if you bring out that guitar today and you play it. You write that song. You share that message. You hit post. You send the email. You send the text. You tell somebody I love you. You tell somebody I care. You show somebody you care. You do something nice. Like, I always find that it's in the act of me doing something. Action creates clarity. There's things you think you'll love, there's things you think you hate, there's things you think you hate, you love you love, you hate you love, whatever it is. Like, but you got to do it to know it. You got to test, don't guess. And so for me, I find that it is through action, it is through the doing that I feel better if I'm feeling down. And it's staying in my own mind by myself that is the absolute worst overall. Because when you can surround yourself and find people who will encourage, who will uplift, who will see the best in you, help you see you for you, to not judge you, and help guide you to what you want, not what the world thinks you should want. So, anywho, god diggity dang. That's another mind tune-up time for you. Hope you're enjoying these. I plan to do these at random. That's kind of the goal now. These will be at random. Any day, anytime, for however long. I'm no longer committing to Tune-Up Tuesday and Motivational Monday and Winning Wednesday and, Thrifty Thursday and, all of these random things, and committing to do it a certain time of the day, at a certain day of the week, at a certain amount of time, in a certain way, at a certain this, and a certain schedule. And it's no fun. It's not me. I love freedom. None of that's freedom to me. None of that is freedom to me. I value freedom and family at the top. And so the whole goal of entrepreneurship for me is to do what I want, when I want, with whomever I want. And some people like schedules, like that kind of very consistent, dialed in, every minute of every day is calendared out. And they absolutely love that. And if that's you and you're listening, don't let anybody deter you from doing that. But if it's not you, then don't let anybody tell you to do it. Because just because it works for one doesn't mean it works for all. Everyone can speak for someone, but someone cannot speak for everyone. I think we can see that everywhere. Because you tell me that there's everybody you listen to, you agree with everything they say. Because if you did, that means every single person can agree with every single person. And obviously that's not true. but there's always someone you agree with. There's something you resonate with. You might not agree with everything I say here. You might not care about everything I say. You might only listen for 5 minutes and get all you need, and that's all you ever do. You might listen the whole time. I don't know. But regardless, I appreciate you. Don't hesitate to send me a message on Messenger. That's probably the main place I see all the time. You can also go to themindmechanic.net/Voxer. That's with a V. Themindmechanic.net/Voxer, Voxer, and send me a message over there. Basically, I spend my day living my life with my puppies, my wife, going on walks, going on bike rides, see my mom, my dad, my brother, and then typically working with my private clients in Voxer. And then I'm going to start doing this because I'd rather be spending 30 minutes to an hour doing this each day than another 30 minutes to an hour consuming something that, quite frankly, I'm just over consumed out. Like, I've just got too much. And this is a way I want people to be able to help know that they're in the thought that there is a right way, to know that there is no right way. It's just a way. Figure out a way that you're going to do, that you're going to show up, that you're going to have fun with. And so for me right now, that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm doing my best to practice what I preach and find the fact that for me, just showing up and speaking here for 30 minutes to an hour feels damn good. And I know there's somebody who will benefit from it. And I believe that with every bone in my body. And the more natural and fluid and flowing that I am, then the better it'll resonate and the more it'll help. The more I'm constricted and restricted, and I got to do it a certain way and say it a certain way and act a certain way and post a certain amount of times, a certain amount of days, and a certain amount of this, a certain amount of that. Well, you can pretty much look at my content over the last number of months. I just don't show up and I just don't do it. It's not that I even do it and then I just don't like doing it. I've done it a few times and I attempt it, but it drives me insane. And then I just don't do it because it's no fun at all. And since there's plenty of examples of plenty of people doing things in plenty of different ways, I'll do it my way. And my way has served me many times in my past when I finally said, screw it, let's do it my way. And sometimes my way isn't potentially the simplest way, but it's the best way for me because at least I'll show up and I'll do it. And I have the greatest chance of getting to California from Florida if I just start moving towards it than waiting for the plane, waiting for me to build a plane, waiting for me to buy a plane, or waiting for me to fly first class. There's lots of ways to get there. And so for me, there's lots of ways to live life. There's lots of ways to have success in business, to achieve things. But the best way for me is to have fun. The best way for you, I don't know. Maybe it's to have fun. Maybe it's to be regimented. Maybe it's to have a lot of rules. Maybe it's to have a lot of certain ways to do things, or maybe not. Test, don't guess. Rock and roll, my friend. Much love. Leave some likes, leave some comments, share it with a friend, do all those nice things wherever you're listening. Subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on Spotify, leave a review. Let the world know if you find any value in this so some other people can find value in it as well. So I appreciate those who do listen. Don't ever, ever, ever hesitate to reach out. And again, I want these to be supportive of you. So right now, there's not thousands of comments. Maybe there will be one day. But right now, the likelihood's high that I'll be able to use one of your things and spark it for a future conversation. So don't hesitate to be a lurker. Don't hesitate to go from lurker to go from somebody who can be found, that I can hear from, so you can be seen and heard and hopefully understood. So rock and roll, my friend. Have a great day. And we'll catch you soon. Take care.